Good afternoon, everybody. It's your boy Jay from Jay's Trains here, and today is an exciting day because the new Lionel 2022 Volume 1 catalog dropped this morning at 10 a.m. And let me tell you something, this is a very interesting catalog. A lot of great stuff in it that people are going to be excited about. I know there are several things in here that I have already pre-ordered as well as considering pre-ordering. But this is just an overall great catalog, and I'm excited to go through it with you guys today. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I just wanted to mention quickly that I am only going to be touching on the scale stuff that's in the catalog. I'm not going to be including the line chief and standard O stuff that's toward the back. I'm sure there'll be plenty of videos of those on YouTube, but for this one, since I mostly collect scale stuff, I'm just going to be focusing in on that. So starting off right in the beginning of the catalog, we have information on the new Lionel Base 3 system and the Cab 3 app. So this, of course, is a brand new system that Lionel is debuting for this year, and it is basically going to be an all-in-one system. You can control switches, accessories, it has built-in Wi-Fi for the Cab 3 app, and you can also control 10 different trains at once with the feature where you can use 10 different controllers at once, which will come in handy if you're having friends over for a running session. So one interesting thing with the Cab 3 app that you'll be able to do from now on is for future engine releases, you will actually be able to program engines with up to 3 and 4 digit cab numbers, which is pretty nice, being that in the past with normal Legacy and TMCC, you were only able to use 2-digit numbers. Now if you notice on these images, the click to play video, if you go onto Lionel's website and view this catalog on there, you can actually click on this video that will take you to a bit of an informational video that Lionel made about these that we'll talk a little bit more in detail. But this is definitely something I'm excited to get, so definite first pre-order here. So right after the information about the Cab 3 app and the Base 3 system, the very first items in the catalog are all Vision Line items, and the first locomotive to make its debut in the catalog is of course the Vision Line Norfolk & Western Class A. So the first 3 offerings of the A's that we have is the Norfolk & Western 1218 Excursion version, which will have a glossy paint scheme, the Norfolk & Western 1238, which will be the only example of a locomotive with roller-bearing side rods in this catalog, and then we have the 1200 version, which is a prototype version, and that has the smaller tender, boiler 2 pilot, and then the 1200 underneath the cab with a small Norfolk & Western written underneath that. Now, some of the features these A's will have is a force coupler, kinematic drawbar, whistle steam, the safety valve steam effect, which will be pretty nice in this engine. Of course, this is the first offering of the 4-digit addressing system, so that's the new feature that Lionel is putting in these. And these will also have the stereophonic rail sounds in them, so it'll have a speaker in both the locomotive and the tender to give a really nice effect of sounds in the engine. Toward the bottom of the page, Lionel is also offering a 4-car set of 21-inch Norfolk Southern excursion passenger cars, and these are basically meant to go along with the 1218. I am surprised to see the price on these, though. $900 for a 4-car set. Whew, that's that's pretty far up there, but at least it's an offering for if you get the excursion version of the 1218 for some nice passenger cars to pull behind it. On the next page, there are several more versions listed, starting off with the 1210 World War II version with the boiler 2 piloting on the front and the smaller tender. Underneath that, you have the post-1945 version of the 1211. Going up to the right-hand side, you have the 1201 What If passenger scheme, which I have to say that actually looks pretty nice. I was hoping it would have been with one of the smaller tenders because that would have been a little bit more accurate for a What If version, just in my opinion. Because around that time when the A's had the boiler 2 pilot and the smaller tenders, they hauled both freight and passenger, so I was kind of hoping to see that, but even with the normal tender though, it still looks like a pretty nice scheme. Underneath that next you have the unpainted pilot version, which looks pretty nice, and then you also have an LCCA exclusive offering of the Norfolk & Western 1222. Now, one thing I noticed about the 1222, reading through the 3 features underneath there, it does say that this model will have the roller bearing rods, which for a version of the 1222 is completely inaccurate, because in reality, the only Norfolk & Western A's that had the round roller bearing rods were the 1238 through the 1242, the last batch of A's that were built. So I'm not sure if maybe that could be a typo and they meant to put standard rods there, because if you look up in the left-hand corner, it does say that the minimum curve for these engines are 054. But going back to the previous page and knowing how large Lionel's articulateds usually are, they're always 072, so just wondering if that's a typo on there or not. But regardless, these are all very nice models. So the model that I'm actually going to be pre-ordering is the World War II 1210 version, just because I'm a fan of the early version of the A's. I'm not sure if I will pre-order the Fantasy Passenger scheme. I have to admit it's a nice looking scheme, but just knowing how Lionel has gotten the color for the last run of NWJs that they did, pretty wrong. I'm not going to pre-order it. I'll wait until it comes out and see. But overall, I'm very happy to finally see all these offerings of the NWAs. So next up, starting off with the Vision Line rolling stock, we have some Vision horse cars, which look pretty interesting. They'll have all sorts of activatable sounds in them using a legacy remote, and definitely a lot of offerings of these here. After that, we have some 3-packs of Vision Line stock cars. I have to say, I am actually very surprised that Lionel did not do a 3-pack of NW cars, because I for sure would have been down for a pair of those to put with one of my Vision Line A's. And I'm sure a lot of other people would have been too. But still a lot of great road names. I'm not sure if I will go for the Baltimore and Ohio version. Out of all of these, that's probably a version I would go with. But again, some very nice cars with a lot of activatable sound in them using a legacy remote. So following that, next we get into some legacy steam locomotives, and the very first engines are some Santa Fe 210-4s. So if I'm not mistaken, this is the first offering of former MTH Premier tooling for steam locomotives in a Lionel catalog. So they are some very nice engines though. You have 3 Santa Fe versions, including the black bonnet up on top, 2 Kansas City Southern versions, and a Pennsylvania version. Although I'm not really a Santa Fe guy, I'm sure a lot of people are very excited about these, and they are gorgeous looking engines. So following those, we have a return of the Lionel Berkshires. We have a Boston and Albany version, a Boston and Maine, Chicago Northwestern, Santa Fe, Southern Pacific, and a Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. It's been a while since Lionel has done these, so it's nice to see these return to the catalog. So next up, we have a nice offering of some 442 Atlantics, and a lot of offerings here as well. You have a Boston and Maine, Missouri Pacific, New Haven, New York Central, a Southern, and Wabash scheme. I know the Southern scheme is probably going to be a very good seller, and these aren't that expensive compared to other engines that are offered in this catalog as well, so very interesting products as well here. On the next page, we have a nice offering of some 060s, and again in a lot of great schemes: a Bethlehem Steel, Frisco, New York Central, Pennsylvania, Strasburg, a Terminal Railroad Association of St. Louis, and the Washington Terminal. What's nice about these engines is they do fit on 031 curves, but they are legacy engines as well. So these are great for people that have small layouts, and these appear to be new tooling as well, like it says up in the top left. So I'm wondering if these are probably a former MTH tooling as well. I'm guessing they are. But out of all these, the Strasburg 31 kind of catches my eye. Not sure if I'm going to pre-order it yet, but definitely one that I have my eye on. The less legacy steam locomotives in the catalog is a very nice assortment of 040s. There's a Bethlehem Steel, Baltimore and Ohio, a U.S. Army scheme, Pennsylvania, and a Long Island Railroad. Again, since these can fit on 031 curves, they're great for people with small layouts, and they're just interesting little steam locomotives. Okay, so here we go into the legacy diesel section of the catalog, and let me tell you something, there are a lot of diesels to choose from in this new catalog. First offered up here are some Alco RS27s. A lot of great offerings, and again, these do appear to be former MTH Premier tooling. We have some Alco units, Conrail, Penn Central, Chicago Northwestern, some Green Bay and Western, as well as some Sioux Line engines. A lot of definitely nice schemes. None of them I really have my eye on at the moment, but perhaps I might pick up an Alco scheme after they come out. I'm not going to be pre-ordering any of these, but some very nice diesel engines to start off with. So following those, we have some legacy SW1s. Now these also are former MTH Premier tooling from the look of it, and a lot of great road names as well. We have a Flambeau Paper Corp. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but some Baltimore, Ohio, Conrail, Burlington Northern, Southern Pacific, and Turtle Creek. It's interesting to see the Turtle Creek. I'm not exactly sure if that was an actual railroad, but I do know the Model Railroader magazine did a project build on a 4x8 layout a long time ago. I think it was like back in 2005, so it's kind of interesting to see that. And again, being small engines, these are able to fit on small layouts for people who don't have a lot of room. So there's definitely a lot of choices if you're looking for a nice little legacy switcher locomotive. So here we go with the return of the legacy ES44s. We have the BNSF, the BC Rail, the EJ&I, the Illinois Central, Wisconsin Central Heritage units, the Canadian National Veterans units, and some U.S. Armed Forces engines in the bottom right, which look pretty nice. Most of these are Canadian National Heritage units from the looks of it, but definitely lots of great choices as well. I was kind of hoping to see the non-powered ES-44s here as super base units. I just think that would have been pretty cool. But definitely lots of choices to choose from, especially if you're a Canadian fan. If I was able to get one of these, it would be the Canadian National Veterans unit. Although if Lionel had done some Canadian Pacific ES-44s, I definitely would have been in for those. I don't really have that much modern diesel locomotives or rolling stock in my collection, but definitely these look like some very nice engines for sure. Here we also have a return of the Legacy SD40-2s, and each one of these has two different road numbers, a powered and non-powered unit from the looks of it. You have two BNSF units, a Louisville and Indiana, a Maersk unit, a Savage unit, not sure how to pronounce that either, and then a Union Pacific Desert Storm camouflage scheme. So lots of great choices here for these two. Here we have a return also of the Legacy SD90 Max. All of these are Canadian Pacific engines in different veteran schemes, and they all look pretty sharp, I have to say. So again, definitely a lot of different choices to choose from if you collect modern diesel locomotives, especially big diesel locomotives like these. And it's a nice touch too to have the all these veterans units that are being offered nowadays, because I feel like, especially with Canadian engines, we don't really get a lot of that in Lionel catalogs. So for all of our friends across the border up north, definitely a lot of nice stuff will be offered in this catalog that they'll enjoy. Flipping the page, we have a couple more Canadian Pacific Heritage SD90 Max, along with a EMD demonstrator scheme, a former UP, now Norfolk Southern patch scheme, and a St. Louis and Rio Grande scheme. And so here we go with a lot of the Amtrak offerings in this catalog. I know the F40PHs here have been a long-anticipated return to the catalog, and with all the different schemes that are offered of these in the catalog, there's definitely a great abundance of variety for these. On this first page, we have a couple of Phase 3 units, a Phase 5 unit up on the right, a Phase 4 unit, there are actually two road numbers of those, and then on the bottom right you have the very nice 208, which is a model of the Amtrak Veterans Scheme. Moving on, next we have some Amtrak cabbage units. Now these units are actually non-powered, but they do have lights and sounds in them, and they're basically meant to run with powered units. But a lot of nice schemes with these as well. You have the Phase 4, the Phase 5, the Veteran Scheme, and as well as a Phase 4 Down Easter scheme. Also, to go along with a lot of the Phase 3 units especially, we have several different offerings of Amtrak 21-inch passenger cars. You have a Station Sounds Diner, a 2-pack, and then a main 4-pack with a dome car. So all of these offerings are really nice, and the sounds, of course, as Lionel usually does with Station Sounds Diners, the sounds I bet are going to be awesome on it. Now I know I did mention at the beginning that I would be focusing mainly on the scale offerings in the catalog, but since we're kind of on a roll with Amtrak stuff here, I figured I'd throw these in as well. So a little farther back in the catalog, you have some Line Chief Genesis locomotives that are offered, which are all former MTH Rail King tooling, as well as a really nice Line Chief 2.0 Genesis set down below with two Amfleet coaches and a cab car. Also in the catalog is a return of the Lionel Amfleet coaches. You have a Phase 3 scheme, a Phase 5, and a Phase 6 scheme, and you have two different sets that are offered. One is just a 2-pack with two coaches, and then the other is a 2-pack, but it has a coach and a cab car. If I had to go with any of the Amtrak items in this catalog, I would probably go with a Phase 3 F40PH, as well as the two car sets of the Phase 3 Amfleet coaches, one with just the two coaches and then the other with the cab car. Now it doesn't look like the cab cars will have any sound in them, but they will have operating headlights, rear marker lights, as well as a strobe light on top. So those are actually going to be pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing those when they come out. Next off, going with some more of the F40PHs, we have the CSX Business Train. So there'll actually be three numbers of these F40PHs in the CSX scheme offered. I remember Lionel did actually do CSX units in the last run, but I don't think they were this B&O inspired scheme. I could be wrong though, I don't quite remember. But also with these units, they have some different variations of the CSX Business Train passenger cars, so you could really put together a nice business train here, especially if you're a fan of CSX. Now, I know these were something that was really requested by a lot of people when these ski train passenger cars first came out. All the passenger cars on this page actually aren't new. As a matter of fact, they're currently out and available now. But what is new is the ski train F40PHs here that Lionel offered to go along with these. So all you guys who wanted some of these, you got your wish, and they honestly look pretty nice. Moving on to the next diesels in the catalog, we have a return of the Legacy F7AA and additional B unit sets. These are always interesting engine sets whenever they come out. So both of the AA sets actually are powered units. One has sound while the other doesn't. And the B units, one is a powered unit and the other is a non-powered unit, but it is a super base B unit. On the first two pages, the first railroads offered are the Santa Fe and Lehigh Valley, followed by the Soo Line, Southern Pacific, and Union Pacific on the next pages. On the next page is something that's actually pretty interesting. They are some F9AB sets. Both of these units are former Norfolk Southern engines that were split up and sold to different railroads. The first one featured on this page is the Aberdeen Caroline Western, and as you can see on the bottom right are two packs of matching passenger cars to go along with that. And on the bottom left is the Reading and Northern 270 and 275. The A unit definitely is going to be powered, of course. The B unit is going to be a super base unit, which is interesting, although I'm not sure if that unit is going to be powered or not. But definitely some very nice offerings, and the Reading and Northern unit on the bottom left is definitely one that I'm going to be pre-ordering. Here we have one of the first scale sets that's actually offered in the 2022 catalog, and it is a Bessemer and Lake Erie ore train set. The set itself comes with an A and B unit, 12 ore cars, and a caboose. And additionally, you can purchase two different 6-car sets of the ore cars, and also a separate A and B unit is offered as well. Combining all of these together, you'd have a monster-long train, man. I know the ore cars are pretty small, but that would be a pretty epic set to have combining it all together. And I'm kind of on the fence about this one, so I don't know. I still have some time to decide if I'm going to pre-order it or not, but definitely a very interesting set. The next set offered is actually very epic as well. It has a ES-44, and it is a Union Pacific rocket booster train. Most of these appear to be former MTH tooling in reference to the freight cars, but this set has 12 different cars in it, and you can also additionally get some extra 6-car sets and 5-car sets. And what's really cool about this set is all of the cars that have the rocket covers on them, you can take those off and actually build a 30-inch tall scale rocket booster, which is pretty awesome. So I got a feeling this is going to be a great selling set as well. The next two sets offered is a Black River and Western Excursion set with a SW1 and 3 passenger cars. I actually haven't heard of that railroad before, but if that is indeed a real excursion railroad and you're familiar with it, this is a great offering for you. And a Norfolk Southern 40th anniversary set with an ES-44 double stack car, coil car, a box car with an illuminated American flag, and a caboose. So two very interesting additional sets you can get as well. Okay, so moving into the rolling stock section of the catalog, we have a return of the former MTH Premier Tooling Woodside coaches. The first cars offered are the MOW cars, and then the second is the New York Central and Hudson River cars. Flipping over to the next page, some more road names we have are the Southern Railway cars, some Wabash cars as well in a nice blue scheme, and a Chapel car Evangel, which I assume can go with either of these sets that can be added in. Along with the Lionel Atlantic, that was a Southern Railway unit. I have a feeling these Southern Woodside coaches are going to be good sellers as well. Up next, we have a fairly wide assortment of 2-bay hoppers and a bunch of different road names. Surprisingly, this is the only area in the catalog where there's actually some NW rolling stock, which is kind of a bummer, if I do say so, but definitely a lot of road names here that will be good sellers. The NW, of course, the Pennsylvania, the Penna Coal and Coke, the Virginian, which also caught my eye up on the right, the Westmoreland Coal, and the West Penn Power. These I think are definitely going to be some good sellers. A lot of these hoppers, a few of the road names have been done in the past and they've been good sellers. And the NW and the Virginian are probably going to be on my pre-order list as well. And also something else that's interesting in the bottom right corner is the 2-pack of passenger cars down there, which if you read the little information box there, is actually pretty interesting. It's something I didn't know about, so those are pretty cool too. Up next, we have some more former MTH tooling, and these are coil cars. Several different road names, as you can see here, and the covers on the cars are actually removable that expose a coil load underneath that's removable as well. On the next page, there are some more coil cars, and these are actually loaded up with graffiti. Now, for modern trains, this is actually pretty realistic because it's very rare that you see a freight car that's actually pretty clean, so this is a nice touch for people who collect modern rolling stock. The next cars we have here are several different Husky stack cars. As you can see, there are 6 different road names. And also, going along with the coil cars on the previous pages, these are also offered in the graffitied schemes as well. Here we also have some illuminated flag box cars in a BNSF, multiple CSX schemes, a Conrail, Montana Rail Link, and a UP Desert Victory scheme. And on the opposite page, we also have some end-door box cars in several different schemes: Burlington, Santa Fe, Southern, Conoco, Union Pacific, and Wabash. On the next page, we have a wide variety of rotary gondolas. Now, these are actually not new. I believe these are the versions that have been offered in the past, just recatalogued. But on the opposite page, we do have some more of the ore cars. And finally, with some of the last products offered are some scale cabooses. On the one page, we have some bobber cabooses in multiple different road names: Baltimore and Ohio, Lehigh Valley, Maryland and Pennsylvania, Northern Central, Strasburg, and a U.S. military car. And then on the opposite page, we have some bay window cabooses. These mostly go along with the ES44s and ST90s. You have a BNSF anniversary, a multiple CSX versions, and a CN Veterans and a CP Veterans caboose as well. Alright guys, so that's basically a brief recap of all the scale items offered in the Lionel 2022 Volume 1 catalog. Lots of great stuff for sure. It kind of just occurred to me too, I didn't go over prices for everything like I probably should have, but I'm kind of realizing it too late. So most of you guys have probably seen the catalog already. So if you're interested in prices, Lionel does have it free to view on their website, so you can always go over there quickly and just give it a quick flip through if you're curious about prices on things. Now, I will say prices in this catalog were a little higher than they normally have been in the past, which is kind of a disappointment, but it's understandable in a way with just the prices going up on everything nowadays. But if you go through a good Lionel retailer, and there are many of them out there, you can get, usually where engines and rolling stock are concerned, usually a couple hundred off locomotives and a decent amount off on rolling stock as well. And if you're pre-ordering items, most places, you don't even have to put a penny down. So that also comes in handy and gives you time to save up for any items that you may want in the catalog as well. With that being said, that's going to be it for this catalog review, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed looking through the whole catalog and going through this video with you guys. If you liked the video, please give it a like, comment down below. Let me know what some of your guys' favorite premiered items were in the catalog, and let me know what you're pre-ordering. I would love to read it. With that being said, this is Jay from Jay's Trains signing out. I will see you guys next time.